because you said you always had the feeling of wanting to do more.
Yes.
You said you hated being told what to do. So what that tells me is you were a leader. Now, I don't know if you were born with that, because leadership is one of the most rare things in the world, like a true leader. And, you also said something about family pressure, because they say most people don't succeed because of what you said. Like everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to start a business. Everybody wants to follow their dreams. But then, what are my parents going to say?
Exactly.
What are my friends going to say?
Yes.
What if I fail? But it takes a special type of individual to say, well, I don't give a shit what they say. I'm going to do it because this is me. This is who I am. I believe in myself.
Yes.
So you had a lot of self-belief.
Yes.
Do you know where that came from? Was that always in you? Was it from the Mexico times? Where do you think that was from?
Actually, I don't know where it came from, but it was always trying to prove. Okay. And it wasn't to prove anyone. It was to prove myself.
Okay.
That this is like, wow, like I really just dropped out of high school, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, now I have to prove to myself that I could do something else.
Yeah. You're like,
I don't need that certificate.
That.
I don't need it. Yeah. So I think it's the pressure that you have with yourself to prove yourself that you're worthy. So how come all these people make all this money? And it's not about the money, right? It's about the freedom that you get behind that.
Yeah, 100%.
So, to me, it's kind of the money just really gravitates to everything that you want to do. And I'm a people person. So I really serve to really help others.
So let's talk about that, because people skills is something very, very, also very rare, My father had great people skills, and he said he got it from having to manage his mom's little tiendita, his store, at a very young age, because he's always having to deal with different types of people and interact and sell stuff. Do you know if there's anything from your upbringing that made you a people person? Were you always charismatic? Was it being the baby of the family? What do you think it was?
I think it probably has to do with a lot of the parenting. My mom is extremely optimistic, very positive person. Doesn't really say anything about anybody, doesn't gossip about anyone. If I would get in a fight or if I would say something, she would say, ay, pobrecita, like just leave them alone. Seriously, like they have fault too,
What? They hit me first.
Exactly. She doesn't even entertain that type of energy, basically.
None at all.
It's unproductive.
None at all. So I think that the people skills came from her, seeing her interact with others, and just the energy attraction that she had. The people just go to her, and they are really attracted to her vibes. So I think it had a lot to do with that.
That's
Another
awesome.
thing is, since they were labor workers, farm workers, I had to put on that mentality where I had to help them out now.
Yeah.
So they don't know the English language.
Right.
So here I am, young, 9 years old.
Yeah.
And, translating for them, filling out documents for them. Like, what do you know at that age?
Do you know who Felipe Esparza is, the comedian?
No.
He talks about that.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, I could barely speak English, and now I'm a translator filling out papers.
You
and all
would
that.
be surprised. I was like 6 years old, and okay, you already know your ABCs. Get in there. Like, how do I do this?
Yes. You're like 8 years old signing legal documents.
What's a medical insurance card?
Wow.
Yes.
But it's funny because so I love how you talked about your mom, because that's how my father was. My father was always super positive, always super confident. Like you said, we'd go in a room and then so my dad's 5'8", Mexican, like 5'8", brown eyes, brown skin. You look at him and you're like, okay, but he can walk in a room of all mixed personalities, all gringos in the 70s. When he leaves, they all love him.
Yes.
They're like, Jesse, oh my God, you're so funny.
Yes.
And we used to be like, how does my dad do that? We'd go to restaurants and then the waiter would just be like, you know what? I like you. We have a discount. You're getting 20% off. We're like, huh?
Yes.
Like, how did my dad? But it was the energy. It was the positivity.
Yes.
Yeah. And so.
And just genuinely caring for people.
Yeah.
And I think the difference.
Yes,
So
definitely.
you know the difference if somebody truly cares about what you're saying, if they're listening, not just hearing, right? If they're really listening, if you really care about what they're going through in life.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it has to do with that, and that's why I believe I probably adapted that from her.
Okay. And then, so how was your dad like?
My dad was more of the stern type, but he was also a very loving dad.
Okay.
So he just loved, right?
Yeah.
And I think having both of them as parents just really taught me a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, they work 24/7, 7 days. I mean, you're in the fields.
Yeah, of course.
And, minimum wage.
That's hard work,
Exactly.
by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
In
I
the
would
fields
see
in
them.
Mexico.
And here.
And here too.
So when they migrated here, that's all they did. I mean, they didn't know the language. So what other job do you do?
Right.
It doesn't matter what you do. You know, my parents never went to any. They didn't have any education whatsoever.
Yeah, but they were hard workers, and that's the one thing that you know is a good trait of being a Mexican is like is hard work.
Yes.
Right. So the only time success comes before hard work is in the dictionary, right? So if you could take that Mexican hard work ethic but apply it to like leadership and people skills and wanting more, well then you have a California boss lady.
Correct.